afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I'm your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is Friday, January 28th, and your midday market report. And I love these Wednesdays, just like I love my Thursdays. I'm able to head out to the Windy City and get some temperature with our friend Riley Magnuson, the Big Ten guru, the cheesehead president. We're going to get his thoughts about 5-6 days after the aftermath. I have a couple questions to bring up moving forward with Mr. Rodgers and so forth. Everyone on the East Coast, buckle up, bear down. Listen, you got about 24 hours. Actually, you got less than that to get your shit together. They're talking now 2 to 3 feet here on good old Cape Cod. And we know they don't plow very well here. So anyone locally listening, it's coming. So get yourself ready. So without further ado, my friend, Mr. Riley Magnuson.
Jeff, how are you? Good to see you today.
Great to see you. I was really feeling your pain last weekend. I talked weeks here about before the playoffs started. Packers by default. I talked about the banana in the tailpipe.
Mm-hmm.
I talked about 2 years ago. I talked about last year. And you take the opening kickoff 7 minutes later, it's 7-0. And I'm like, okay, they're ready. And Rodgers didn't throw another touchdown. They didn't score another touchdown. He only threw to Aaron Jones. He only threw to Devontae Adams. It reminded me of Brady in the circle of trust. We knew your efficiency, or I should say lack of special teams. I don't even, disappointment. I mean, it's past that. I mean, we, in Boston, and I know you feel the same way, we play for championships. We don't we don't post regular season number one seed banners up into the stadiums, yada, yada, yada. You have a first ballot Hall of Famer that has got you to the promised land once. And now he has just let you down year after year after year. Just the stage is yours. Give us thoughts about the game. Give us thoughts. How you feeling? And how's Cheesehead Nation feeling?
Yeah, my head has been spinning. I've kind of gotten over some of it as far as this week is concerned. And then I was like, I have to go on Friday's show with Jeff, and he's going to bring it up because I looked you in the face and said I am feeling at least over the moon about the Packers taking care of business in this one. And then you said something along the lines of, well, for your sake, I hope we're not talking about 49ers Rams come next Friday. And here we are. But you mentioned it, man. The special teams, that was the one thing that we all season long, it hadn't really, I think it maybe hurt us in that one Chiefs game without Rodgers, where if we had a nice special teams performance in that one, it might have had a different outcome there. But throughout the season, it was glaringly obvious that it was a terrible unit, but still somehow managed to not blow us any really important games at all. And all we weren't asking for a number one or a top 10 special teams performance. We were just asking for nothing catastrophic, and that's exactly what happened. And you mentioned it as far as the disappointment. It was that game specifically the most disappointing game of the last 10 years of Packers playoff losses, just, of how the circumstances of that game shook out? Not necessarily, but as far as the hype and confidence in that team going forward, for me, it's as disappointing or more than any of the last 10 years that we saw losses, other than maybe that one NFC championship loss to the Seahawks, because it's just one way or another. Rodgers that was one of his worst playoff games that he's ever had, but throughout his tenure, it's a lot of different things. I mean, they've had certain games where he's put up 30, 40 points in the postseason game, but their defense gives up 40, 50, or, we have situations where he doesn't touch the ball in overtime. But this one was just, he had his own chances to take the game into his own hands, and then just the special teams catastrophe that happened. I just saw a clip again. I try to tune myself out of all of the backlash and reactionary stuff, whether that's people, talking shit at us or even any Packers outlets kind of dissecting what happened in the game. I try to tune all that out just because it makes me so damn miserable. But about 10 minutes ago, before I came on the show, it was someone posted a clip. It was like, I cannot believe it was that fourth down stop in Packers territory with 6 minutes and 10 seconds on the clock, a 10-3 lead. And they stuffed them up 7 on fourth down with 6 minutes left, and they managed to lose the game in regulation in the snow in Lambeau Field. And so all of those circumstances, we felt it just felt so perfect coming down. I mean, I talked to you about it last week. Everything just felt like the stars were aligning. We finally got fans in the stands as compared to last year. We got cold coming down the pipe this year, and I've been trying to avoid staring or checking the temperature to see what it would have been this Sunday, welcoming in the Rams had we have been, because I'm sure that'll make me sad as well. But all in all, going forward, that's the other part that adds to the disappointment is we have absolutely no idea what they're going to look like next year, whether it's Rodgers, no Rodgers, whether he retires or stays. If he stays, are we trading him? That's half of the disappointment, is because there's just been so many close opportunities that have just fallen by the wayside, and it just feels like we've wasted so many perfect opportunities, and this really felt like as good as any opportunity that we've had over the last 10 years.
I think something else pretty big in that game that I don't think has gotten enough talk about, and the fact of the matter is that, of course, we're going to look to Rodgers, we're going to look at the special teams, but A.J. Dillon getting hurt. And, he, as the season progressed, became such a big factor in their offense, short yardage, goal line situations, and he gets hurt and he never comes back.
Right. And I mean, I was talking to you the last couple of weeks about that. Was one of the things that I was feeling fantastic about, was him, what he could do to bring some of that physicality back to the Niners, and be able to run the ball in that cold weather. Because, yeah, you're absolutely right. Aaron Jones, as good as I think he is, he just isn't that effective when he doesn't have, in the cold weather like we saw, and when he doesn't have that extra punch behind him to bring some physicality to kind of keep him off balance. But the defense, and the other part that drives me nuts, is that our defense could not have played any better. They allow 0 touchdowns at all, 6 points technically that they allowed, 2 field goals, the final winning one, and then whatever it was, I think in either the first or early second half. That was the best our defense could have played. So, I mean, there's so many different paths as far as what we could see going forward. If Rodgers wants to be traded, then, chances are we're going to try and build up that defense to be as strong as it possibly can. Because there are going to be, if that does happen, going down that rabbit hole, there's going to be a lot of cap space, a lot more cap space to work with, right? And probably a lot of draft capital coming back in, and a lot of guys on defense that'll probably be standing pat that are really important pieces. So there's a lot of different possibilities. I honestly, personally don't know what I even am hoping for the most at this point. I'm just hungry for that Super Bowl, man, and I'm just worried that it's not going to be as good of an opportunity as this past year was.
I'm going to bring you back to last year, draft day.
Yeah.
Denver Broncos have the 9th pick, and Justin Fields is there, and they passed. And that, to me, was an eye-opener. I was saying all along they thought they had Rodgers last year.
Right.
And they passed on Fields. Now the Green Bay OC heads to Denver.
Yeah.
Is this starting to feel – I think you have like $47 million over the cap space. I heard something pretty good where, if we trade for Rodgers, we need his word that he's going to stay 3 years, say.
Right.
You can't wake up after year one and say, you know what, I've decided that I'm going to retire, and we just gave you guys 3 first-round picks. We gave you Jerry Jeudy, and we threw in, a defensive guy or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So with the OC heading over there, with the cap jail that you're in, do you think the seeds now are planted? Like I said, Denver had Justin Fields if they wanted him, and they passed. So I said there was a wink, something's going on here. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, without trying to be unbiased, it does seem like something is going on there. In as far as I just kind of keep coming back to, and I think I mentioned it here, the way that Rodgers had been talking about the relationships with the front office. I don't know why he would have gone out of his way to do that if he didn't want to leave the possibility of coming back. And you mentioned the cap issues that they do have. They've already discussed, like, we've been planning, we've had safeties to work around this and bring almost everybody back. I mean, they can franchise Davante Adams for 1 year, which he probably doesn't want to do. So they do kind of have an avenue to run it back for 1 more year, if you will. But the more it stacks up, the more it does sound like Denver could be the move that's going to be coming down the pipe. I don't know. I'm nervous, excited, anxious for every bit of it. But I'm obviously, I was born in 1995, so all I know is Hall of Fame quarterback play. So I think part of me is just terrified that this finally might be the time that comes to an end, at least for 1 year. And I'm trying to hold out as long as I can over here.
Well, I mean, the resumes are identical. Favre and Rodgers, they're absolutely identical at this point. Final question on Green Bay, then we'll go on to tonight's slate. If Rodgers moves, and seeing where you are in cap jail, does it make any sense to hold Davante Adams hostage with a franchise tag for 1 year?
I don't think they would do that. I really don't. I think they would let him move on because I imagine, I think he would be a little more willing to stay under the franchise tag if he knows he's hanging out with Aaron Rodgers and potentially putting up another, Hall of Fame caliber season for 1 more year. Without that happening, obviously it's not necessarily up to him, but I think they would let him kind of let him have some more freedom if that's the case, because he's fantastic. But I think if Rodgers is gone, I think both of them are gone, honestly.
And I agree. All right, the weekend's here. We have a decent slate in the NBA. We have a decent slate in college hoops. We talked behind the scenes about college hoops, about your week. Catch us up to speed. How you been hitting them?
Not too bad this week in college basketball, actually. I told you I split yesterday, just missed it by the hook as far as I had Wisconsin and Nebraska under and Nebraska plus 7.5. Lost that one by the hook, I told you. And aside from that, I told you I've been faring really, really well in the Big 12. Every single night there's at least, from an entertainment standpoint, fantastic games. And that has really been over the last couple of weeks where I've found the most profitability on my side of things from college basketball. And aside from that, actually, surprisingly enough, had not been one of my strong points to this point, but the ACC, I actually picked up some wins in the ACC. Had Clemson plus the 11.5 at Duke. That was an awesome game. Had UNC minus 5.5 over Virginia Tech. So picking up in the ACC, I'm hoping things can kind of even out in that conference because that has been just an entire cluster this entire season. So not too bad so far. I got no college basketball picks tonight, though, as far as tonight's slate is concerned at this point.
Temperature in the Big Ten. Purdue knocks off Iowa kind of handily. Boxed the wire. Big first half. They hold a nice Iowa run in the second half, and then they just flex their muscles. Purdue, Illinois, Wisconsin, Michigan State. The list is endless there. I think length and depth, most people consider the Big Ten the cheese of the NCAA so far this year. Moving forward, you still got that Purdue, Illinois, 1-2 in your head. I mean, obviously anyone can make a power move here. We always talk about Izzo come March. Anything sticking out, or is it just every day's a new day in the Big Ten?
It really does feel like every day's a new day, right? And as far as what you said about Michigan State, I've been thinking about this for a few days because on paper and from an eye test, I would say that I would eliminate them from being, kind of from this pack. But every single year, like you just said about March with Michigan State, as we progress historically through, the college basketball season into January, into February, even February, Michigan State with Tom Izzo, it takes themselves to another level typically. So from that standpoint, I would not rule out Michigan State. Illinois, I mean, the one thing that I guess I'm kind of leads me into questioning Michigan State is they just lost. Obviously, it was at Illinois in a tough environment at Illinois without Kofi Cockburn, though, and a team without Kofi Cockburn that has not looked very, very solid and very efficient. turned the tide completely without him on the other night against Michigan State. So I've told you, I'm a slightly biased about Illinois, but I personally think if they're 100% healthy, they're a tough team to beat, especially at Illinois. And obviously, if Purdue's playing, 100% efficiently, all cylinders go, no turnover issues, knocking on the three ball. I don't know that anybody could beat them in the Big Ten, but I'm still holding on to those two teams as the toughest two teams, at least on their best day, in my opinion.
We're going to get to tonight's slate in the NBA since you have no college plays in a second, and they're starting to roll some cancellations already for Saturday back here, Big East
Okay.
in the East, so keep an eye
Yeah.
there. Saturday, Sunday, Big Ten, any games to highlight? Any thoughts? I know a lot of those games you don't have lines on, or anyone that we can anticipate that you see as being, potential leans, or just obviously great games to watch.
I'm really interested in what the spread for Michigan State is going to be. This is the one that I don't think they've played each other yet this year. They had the one that was postponed, and Michigan has started to pick things up a little bit, at least the last week or so is concerned, right? I mean, they get a huge win at Indiana on the 23rd this past Sunday with NFL going on. I think a lot of people kind of missed that. So I'm actually really, really, really interested to see what the spread is for this one. If it's a little lower than you might expect, maybe Michigan goes in and takes care of business here on the road. But with it being at Michigan State, and kind of how we said, though, as the season progresses, Michigan State usually improves game over game. I'm just really interested to see that spread. So I think at the bare minimum, I think that could be a really, really exciting game. And then the rest of the Saturday slate, maybe Illinois Northwestern at Northwestern could be a good one. Northwestern is kind of in that team that you don't quite know what you're going to get. 6-point loss to Wisconsin, 20-point loss to Purdue, then a 2-point loss to Michigan. So that one, I think, could either be Illinois beats the doors off of them, or Northwestern hangs with them for the entire 40 minutes. I'm not quite sure to see for what we see there. Again, interested to see what the spread is. If it's less than 6 or 7, then maybe Northwestern might be the side in that one. I'm not quite sure. If it's double digits, maybe that's an Illinois spread. And then Indiana, Maryland. I like Indiana, but as I'm sure you and I have talked about, Maryland is just a team that I've got no interest in trying to figure out what's going on. And then Saturday evening, Rutgers, Nebraska. At Nebraska, I think regardless of what the spread is, I think I'm just going to be seeing myself out of that one. Rutgers has been all over the map, and Nebraska, not terrible at home, but still on their best day can hang with anybody in the conference, essentially. On their worst day, they'll lose by 40, so I'm out on that one. And then Ohio State, Purdue on Sunday morning, 11 a.m. My time over here. That one I'm interested to see what the spread is again. At Purdue, Ohio State, I'm still trying to figure out Ohio State, Jeff. Ranked team right now, definitely within the mix of the entire season, trying to take that number one spot. I still think they're kind of a step below the Illinois, Michigan State, and Purdue in this one. So interested to see what the spread is there, but I can see Purdue kind of smacking them in the mouth on that one. And then Wisconsin, Minnesota. Wisconsin at home in that one seems like they should roll that one, right?
Well, you hit some buttons with me. Of course, I call them the Maryland twerps because I can't figure them out. An Indiana team that's sneaky. Yeah. And they've had a couple big wins lately. And again, a tough team to get a good temperature on. Like we talked about, it's almost like any given Sunday. It's like what I say in the Big East, what I say in the NFL. Anyone can beat anyone.
Right.
And we've talked at length about that Northwestern team, and it'll be interesting to see, do they throw the carrot at you where Illinois is minus 5.5? And then you and I are sitting there saying, all right, we know that's a Northwestern line, and Illinois is going to get pushed to 7 with the public, and you're kind of stuck in no man's land.
Right. Yeah. I personally, I have the, for that game specifically, we can't bet Illinois teams within the state of Illinois, at least legally. So I have not been able to back those teams too many times. Northwestern has been that team, though, when they are set like that, aside from maybe 1 or 2 spots where they tend to end up taking care of business on the spread at the bare minimum. So once again, if it's double digits, I assume Illinois rolls in that one. But if it's under double digits, even 8-9, I wouldn't be surprised if Northwestern can hang in that one.
All right, NBA tonight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games on the board. Take it away.
All righty, I've got two that I have picked out today, Jeff, and kind of lends into what you've talked about as far as those Friday public trap spots a little bit, and then after diving deeper into them, I feel like I can at least confidently tell you what I think is going to happen in this one. Boston and Atlanta, I'm going to the total in this one. I'm going under 2. I caught it at under 219. I am seeing 217 some certain spots, 218.5 on Caesars. It looks like as long as that's still correct. But nonetheless, I think people are going to be looking at the last couple of offensive performances from both of these teams. The Celtics 129 last time out, 116 time before that. At Atlanta 121 last time out and 113 before that. But what I'm really looking at, Jeff, is the defenses for both of these teams the last 3 to 5 games, last week or two. Both these teams are two of the hottest defensive teams in the entire league right now. Boston, as far as defensive efficiency in the league over the last 3, they are number 1. They've got 3 outings holding teams under 92, I think it is. And then the 2 outliers in that are 111, 109. So still nothing terrible defensively there. And then Atlanta, number 3 over the last 3 games, defensive efficiency. Not quite as stout as far as under 100, but still very solid defensive performances there. And with the way this total is, and, I feel like the general public is going to be hammering in the over on this one. I think this is a total trap spot on this one, Jeff. Not sure what your thoughts are there, but the way that the Hawks are kind of turning the corner too, they're playing a lot better. So I anticipate people think this Atlanta team is going to put up a ton of points like they have been lately, but I really think it's both defenses that are going to shine in this one.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because the Celtics now, again, they get to pump their chest out the other day because Tatum scored 51 points. Yeehaw, whoop-de-doo. Right. But that's Celtic Nation for you. And the fact, that they beat a team by 40 or 50 the other day too. Again, 2 teams they're supposed to beat. Now they go to Atlanta. You hit something pretty good. A number that opened at 218.5 that's down to as low as 216.5 with our friends at the Circa. 217 across the Vegas Strip. You can get it at 217 and a hook right now at WinBet. 88% of the tickets, 93% of the money, all coming in on that over. Yet it's dropped a full 2 points. Some strong reverse line movement on that total.
Yeah, I like it a lot. This one probably is my favorite bet of the day, if I'm being totally honest. And Boston's kind of been an under team the entire season too, as well. I think they are, 28 and 21 to the under on the season. Atlanta, just a few games over 500 as far as the over is concerned. But, I think I mentioned, I can't remember if it was last week or the week before, they get DeAndre Hunter back, who helps them on both ends of the floor, but a fantastic addition to their lineup defensively. So I think this one stays in the low 100s, and I'm not sure. I was starting to lean into, I'm not taking this action by any means. I was starting to lean myself into the Celtics because when I popped things open this morning, checking things out, I've been liking what I've been seeing from the Hawks, but just by these defensive improvements from Boston, it's got me interested in taking the Boston plus the 1.
Yeah, and I kind of looked at that myself, and I'm showing 56% of the bets, 62% of the money, all coming in Atlanta. It opened at 2.5. It's a flat 1 right now at the Vegas Strip. So again, strong reverse line movement and sharper, heavier money coming in on the green and the Celtics.
Yeah, I think I feel like the total here is probably the best value there, and yeah, gun to my head, give me the Celtics as well.
All right, game 2.
All right, game 2. So I hate myself for this, that I am at least following my gut on this, because I am fading my home team. I am a beloved diehard Chicago Bulls fan, but sometimes their gambling lines just smack me in the face that I just can't ignore. And I'm fading the Bulls tonight, Jeff. I caught the Spurs at +1. I am seeing Spurs -1.5, -2 in certain spots now. in a very similar spot where I am curious to hear what you have as far as the current bets and money splits on this one, but I could tell you with the absolute certainty that over the next few hours, the Chicago Bulls diehards are going to be pouring money into the Chicago Bulls tonight. But I do believe this is a big old fat Bulls trap tonight. Spurs offensively at home have been really solid, top 10 of offensive efficiency when they're at home. And I've been talking about it, whether it's our show, I think I might have mentioned once on your show, this Bulls defense, with some of the injuries that they have in many different matchups, especially on the road, it's a nightmare right now for the Bulls defensively, efficiency wise, and I think they're going to be exposed tonight. And I think the Spurs are going to run up the score on them. Not sure. Obviously, the Bulls still have some pieces, but they have, as far as a depth perception, excuse me, as far as a depth for their bench lineup, it's also pretty depleted. So I expect the Spurs to take care of business tonight. I promise. I don't enjoy betting against the Bulls, but sometimes I just can't ignore it, and I have to go with my gut and take the other side. I did it against the Thunder early on in the week. I caught it. I caught the hook, so I got that. If you remember the backdoor last second meaningless three on at least for who's winning the game, but that one cashed my +1.5. I did it there. I stayed away the other night against the Raptors, but I think this is a tough spot for the Bulls tonight.
You get some good eyes today. Not that you don't have good eyes every day. Don't get me wrong there, obviously. But here again, the Bulls open up -2, 70% of the bets, 61% of the money, all coming in on the Bulls. Yet the line is flipped to San Antonio -1.5 across the Vegas Strip. You can get them at -1 right now at WinBet. Strong, sharp money. Strong, reverse line movement on the Spurs. And a little tidbit and a little nugget. It's Popovich's birthday today.
I did not know that. I feel good about that as well. I did not realize that. Any thoughts on the total in that one? I think that one's been climbing today as well, at least a couple points.
Yeah, it opened at 228 and a hook. It is now 231 and a hook. 58% of the bets, 89% of the money, all coming in on the over. So the tickets and the money and the number is moving in the correct way. As we always like to say, especially on Friday, it's payday. And a lot of these public players, degens, whatever you want to call them, will run to the window. They don't do the homework. They don't do the research. And they're just grabbing favorites and overs. Right. And so Friday's a great day to set the traps because Vegas does it. We know that. And to get some monies heading into the weekend.
Yeah, and I hate to use my, who are a lot of people that I hold dearly, the Bulls faithful. Over the next few hours, I can tell you with absolute certainty that there's going to be a lot more monetary liability coming in as on the Bulls as people are starting to hop on their sports book and try to get some action on the Bulls, especially after, I mean, they did have won 2 straight games, obviously pushed that one depending on where you got it against OKC. Had a decent performance the other night against Toronto. So whenever they win a couple games and they haven't, people haven't seen that horrible loss in front of their eyes, they still typically tend to be confident in them, and I can't hate them for it. I typically don't watch whenever I bet against them as much as it hurts me, but I think they're in a real tough spot tonight.
How about a temperature on Bulls Nation as we get closer to the All-Star break and finish out the season for the playoffs? The Bulls and the Heat were my Eastern Conference tried to beat the Nets and Bucks preseason. Obviously, both teams got off to great starts. The Bulls captured the hearts of America, and I go back a couple of weeks ago when Brooklyn came in and I heard the announcer and I was waiting and looking, where's Michael, where's Scotty, where's Bill, the electricity was there. Yeah. Now, it took a couple bad beats. I know you're injured. I know there's some COVID issues, yada, yada, yada. Thoughts moving forward to the All-Star break and after the All-Star break?
Yeah, as far as the entire buzz, regardless of what I just said about betting against them today, the buzz is as high as it's been in almost certainly 5 years, if not a decade, since the the height of the Derrick Rose era. I'm not saying they're as good as that team necessarily, but as far as the buzz, because of what we suffered through the last few years, the buzz is off the charts, and I feel fantastic about this team when they are fully healthy. My only concerns right now are no Lonzo Ball, no Alex Caruso. Those two guys specifically, and then a couple guys that we've lost bench-wise. Without Ball and Caruso, our defensive efficiency just falls through the absolute floor. I like Kobe White offensively. He's really improved there, but I keep mentioning it. I probably sound like a broken record if people have been listening to me enough. He's just really bad defensively. He's a liability when other teams have more than a couple above average scorers to great scorers. And that's one thing you saw in that Nets game was the Stars were almost hunting him down, looking for one-on-ones against him. And I don't know if you're privy to Kirk Goldsberry. He does a lot of analytics for the NBA. And over the course of the season, you see the chart of the Bulls' defensive efficiency just tank day by day, just tank into the bottom third of the league after being top third. And it's because of losing Alex Caruso, Alonzo Ball, and some others. Bringing in Kobe White, which helps their offensive efficiency for sure, but in my opinion, hurts their defensive efficiency more than he helps their offensive efficiency. So if they can get everybody back, and then I haven't even mentioned Patrick Williams, who went down first week or two of the season, second year wing scorer / defender. Really solid player. If we can get everybody back healthy, I'm not saying we're making a run at everything by any means, but we're at least, I feel pretty solid that we can at least make some waves and start winning some of these games on primetime TV or at least the bigger regular season spectacle, if you will, those types of games, because those are the spots where we're just almost doomed from the jump with the lineup that we have right now. But overall, the buzz, I honestly... If you told me right now, regardless of the current situation, the injuries, that we'd be sitting a half game out of the first seed in the Eastern Conference, I'd be losing my mind. I would have been happy if you told me we were the 8th seed right now. I would have probably lost my mind, but let alone second seed. So I can't hate on any of the buzz. It's been fantastic to at least have a watchable product. The last 5 years was just unwatchable basketball after unwatchable basketball and horrible leadership. So as far as that is concerned, we're feeling fantastic. I can't imagine we're going to make too many waves at the trade deadline with all these injuries. I don't see that. I kind of see them pushing their chips to free agency or at least offseason, maybe trade some type of deal there. But I don't really expect them, especially not getting rid of Patrick Williams, because that's really the key that it's going to take to bring anybody notable is getting rid of him. And I don't think they're going to do that. So I don't expect them to make too many waves here. I think they're just trying to grind out these injuries and hope that they can get everybody back by playoff time this year.
Is it now obviously the 1 seed kind of sort of makes a difference in my eyes. In other words, if you go all season and you got the 1 seed or even the 2 seed, I think expectation wise for the fans and the fan base would be, hey, we had a great regular season. Now let's win the first round and let's be competitive in the second round. Is that basically at this point what you think that Bulls Nation is thinking?
You know, a lot of kind of what I'm talking about as far as people are going to start pouring money on them tonight. There's still a lot of the expectation is a little higher than what our current product allows right now. So I think the most optimistic fan is talking themselves into, if we're healthy, we can make a run at the whole thing, which I personally do not think as long as, unless if something horrific happens to, the Nets and Sixers and Bucks Stars, then maybe we're talking a different story. But the way there's so many teams right now, there's 6 teams within two games of the top seed in the East. So I think there's just too much firepower. For me personally, yes, that is what I hope for, is a first round series win wherever we're at, whoever we're facing, and then, like you said, a competitive second round. That would be fantastic for my eyes, and obviously anything past that is house money. And then, trying to make that next step, because I do feel like if it's either building out our bench a little bit more and hoping one of these guys takes another step that we already have, or bringing in another big piece to really set us over whatever you feel that edge is. I feel like that's probably coming in the offseason. That's what we're hoping for. But yeah, personally, a second round series where we look competent and not getting embarrassed like we have a couple times on primetime is really as much as I'm asking for right now.
Amazing stuff from the Windy City. I didn't even have to jump in an airplane and head on over. That's why I love my Thursdays and Fridays. And I got to give you props. I know how much of a diehard Packer fan you are. I know what it felt like to be in your shoes on Sunday. As a Red Sox fan, I had to put up with a few years. I go back to 2003 like it was yesterday. And I was sitting by myself in my living room at 1 a.m., in like the 13th inning when we gave up the homer, and just to relive this stuff and to actually, you're only 5-6 days since that. And you got to wake up on Sunday and, deep down, you're supposed to be hosting the Rams. We know that for a fact. And then unfortunately, you got to watch a Rams 49ers game at 6:30 or 5:30 your time.
Well, from my perspective, like kind of how you just led into, it's reached a whole nother level now that I'm coming on not only your show, but hosting co-hosting 3 different shows of my own, to where and handicapping these games on a daily basis. Because on Sunday I didn't want to watch either of those games from just a pissed off standpoint. I still watch them just because I had been excited for those games for a week. So they were tough watches. I'll be totally honest. They were a tough watch. And the first one, Rams Bucks, I didn't. I was watching that one a little less tentatively as I did the second one. I was a lot more locked into the second one. It was a tough watch, that first one, Rams Bucks. Because I don't know about you, but whenever you see the teams that you would normally be, okay, we are playing this team, I want to play this team, but then they're playing and you have no stake in it whatsoever. It just makes you mad throughout the entire thing. So that's where I was at all Sunday, and I will absolutely be there once again on Sunday afternoon.
It's almost like we're analyzing, okay, we can do this against them, but we can't do this against them. So maybe we want these guys. Maybe we want.
Right.
Because I think everyone was anticipating, Rodgers versus Brady part 2 at Lambeau, but it came up short. But again, your true professionalism, boom, you're here. You're not ducking. You're right in front of the mic and the camera, and that's why we love you here. Close us out. The stage is yours. I have obviously on the crawler here on Twitter at RMags TTL Sports and at Talking the Line. But tell everyone where to find you, your podcast, your platforms, and everything like that.
Yeah, so as you said, right below us scrolling by, that is my Twitter handle, RMags TTL Sports. That is the next one next to that, Talking the Line. At Talking the Line is our Twitter handle for the whole Talking the Line page. You catch us 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, Monday through Friday on the Talking the Line podcast, on Twitter, podcasts, YouTube. Go check out our YouTube, Talking the Line Sports Media. And then talkingtheline.com is the one-stop shop for our website. That's everything you need. And then you saw him yesterday if you watched your show, but go give my partner a follow at Colt TTL Sports. No UFC for him this weekend, but he usually drops a UFC blog. Most days he drops a midday college basketball kind of update. What are the spreads looking like? What are the money movements coming in on that one? And I'm personally looking for a new blog to start, Jeff. I had been doing my weekly Packers blog, but I've got to find a new angle. I tested the waters a little bit, dipping in my toes into the PGA this weekend, seeing if that I might be doing a little bit of a golf blog coming down the pipe. So stay tuned for that as well.
Please keep me updated on that. We a handful of years ago had a great friend, BJ Vanderwood, that was working with us at ECSI doing our golf, and a writer at Football Guys had passed away, and so we took the bulls by the horn, no pun intended there, during COVID. And in the past 2 seasons now, we've had a total of 10 outright winners at the pre-flop. And, we catch some great odds. I love golf. I love where it's going. I love everything about it. And what the good part about golf is that it gives you 4 days of action. So you don't have to run to the window and bet John Rahm 5-1 if you were $100 player to make 500. You try to beat John Rahm, and you might have, 4 20-1 or betters, and you put a quarter on each one of those, and you're going to profit more trying to beat the favorite.
Right. And I part of the reason why is, as you said, I love where golf is and where it's going. And I've always had minor successes the few times where I dip my toes into the water. And I like to target the top 10s, top 20s, top 30s, top 40s, what have you. That's what I did this weekend. I've got Patrick Reed and Mark Leishman, top 20. I needed a big day. All 3 of my guys almost missed the cut yesterday, but they had a nice day yesterday. Both those guys are right on the edge. And then Lanto Griffin, haven't heard much about him, was reading a lot about him, top 40, and he's right on the edge of that. So we'll see. Dipping my toes in. Don't want to jump, cannonball and then look like an idiot who doesn't know what he's doing. So I got to make sure I know what I'm doing over here. Dip my toes in a little bit first before I dive off the deep end, if you will.
Shout out to Pigeon Patrol. Thank you for watching us on Twitch. Let's go Rams, he says. So I 3.5 point favorite there, Mr. Pigeon. You have lost the last 6 against the Niners. You're 3-7 the last 10, but you had a 17-0 lead in the last week of the regular season. A win, and you are hosting the Super Bowl. So God bless you. Good luck there. Everyone, wager in today. Please, please, please wager responsibly. If you have a problem, pick up the phone. There is an 800 number there. Ask for help. Why? Because we care. We want you here today, tomorrow, next week, next month, through 2022 and beyond. From myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from my good friend Riley Magnuson at RMAGS, TTL Sports, and at Talk on the Line. We wish you the best. Cash some tickets, and we'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning at the Breakfast Bankroll.